One, two, three.
Welcome back to the Finding Moments podcast. My name is Wong Lam, and today's very special guest is the founder, the CEO of Land Information Services, Wade Brawley. Welcome to the podcast, sir.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
Absolutely. Before we start this off, our love language is giving, and so we have some swag for you.
All right. Wonderful. Okay to look at this now?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, all right. Awesome. I will be wearing this tomorrow. Very nice.
Love it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And here's a little note for
Nice.
you as well. And we have a couple more things.
Mm-hmm. Keep it coming.
Yeah.
I like this so far. I think this is okay. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How cool is that? Hand painted. Did you do this yourself?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Joni Manavong, we did a podcast with her. She used to do custom mugs, so we had her design a couple for you before she quit.
Uh-huh.
And she's on a new adventure, so we wanted to...
That is so thoughtful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't wait to show it to my leadership team at the office. They'll love this. My IT director is big into design and aesthetics, and
okay.
he will want one of these. So I'm glad you brought two of them. Or is one for you?
No. They're both for you, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. How are you doing today?
Good. It's a beautiful day, obviously,
Absolutely.
and so that puts everyone in a better mood. And it's Friday, so
And it's Friday.
yeah. So it's a great day.
Yeah. Met your wife, so
Mm-hmm.
things going well. You've been married for over 30 years.
35.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
better get that right.
No, you should, because I've done some research through your nephew, Chris. I work with Chris. And then I also work with a lot of Chesapeake people that actually know you and talk and speak very highly of you.
Oh, well, that's appreciated.
Now, it's awesome. Like Hazel Welch.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, she is so special.
Yeah.
Now, not everyone would speak highly of me, but I know she would. And she's always been an advocate, and she's so smart and very data-driven and high ethics, and just everything's for the company.
Mm-hmm.
So I really appreciate that. So we found a lot in common, and
Yeah.
and we worked together and built some great things together, great tools together.
Yeah, it's interesting because I had a conversation with her this morning, and we were talking about the podcast and how it's coming over here in your own backyard to do it for the first time ever. And she got teary-eyed speaking about you. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was like, man, I felt the emotion, what she was talking about you. So I was like, man, and I was like, wow, that's really, really awesome.
Yeah. And when I left, I remember specifically what she wrote to me. She sent me an email that was really heart-wrenching and just very touching, and actually called out certain moments where we had meetings, and how she appreciated how I represented everyone and wasn't trying to push an agenda like some people do.
Yeah, for sure.
When they're working on a project, it's really more about their project and not about the good of the company. And I always try to avoid that, and I can see when that's happening. And I think she picked up on that I wasn't going to let someone just kind of run ramshot over everyone because they wanted things their way. Right. And so she pinned that out, and I thought, well, that was very touching.
Yeah. Well, it's touching because she's authentic, she means it, and you're obviously authentic. And I reached out to you. I try to reach out to people on Twitter or Instagram. I reached out to you on LinkedIn. I remember that I've seen you walk around Chesapeake. You're a vice president there for about 3 years, because I started in 2006. So I think you ended up leaving in 2009,
2009.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And you had a really nice article on just Aubrey McClendon and learning life lessons, etc. And then you've been published in magazines, oil magazines, and it's like, man, this man is fascinating. And so I reached out to you, and I didn't know what to think if you would reach back. And then you were so kind, came to Land Information Services, and it's like, man, we had coffee and a great chat.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
You're easy to talk to, and everyone, we represent something different to everyone. So, as a dad or a husband, a boss or an employee, and, and the older you get also, you don't know this yet, but you will. The older you get, the more people think they can't approach you. And which is sad,
Ah,
because I really enjoy meeting people and hearing their ideas and talking and telling my story. And so, so I did appreciate you reaching out to me
yeah.
and showing an interest. And so, yeah, sure, let's talk.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh-huh. Um, but yeah, that's the sad thing. Some people think I'm unapproachable, but
Mhm.
I think I'm very
I
approachable.
absolutely agree.
I think it's because, if I'm working on a project, I can be so into it and so intent
Hmm.
on what I'm doing that when I'm interrupted, I might not respond with the most, kind response. But in general, I do like to have people. I'll answer robocalls because I think it may not be a robocall. It may be a long lost friend. So why
Yeah.
not? Um, but I do quickly hang up.
Yeah. Well, you talked about sometimes when you're in the zone. I feel like when you're in the zone, you're in the zone.
Hmm.
You're CEO, you're the founder of your own company. So I would imagine same thing when you were at Chesapeake, you were vice president and you worked with Aubrey. He was intense too,
Oh, very,
you
very.
know?
He was remarkable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he had a really keen sense of presence, and that's something that I take away from him. And that's another thing, Aubrey to some people is this mysterious guy, and to me he was a man, and he
Hmm.
was capable of faults, but mostly just had very admirable qualities,
Yeah.
and I learned a lot from him. A lot of us did. In fact, the anniversary of his death is this weekend, and
Yeah.
there's a celebration of his life on Sunday that I'll be going to. Um, but what was really interesting is that he didn't ask a question that he didn't already know the answer. And so whenever he would ask you a question, you're thinking, "Oh God, am I going to give him the right answer?" But it was uncanny. I don't know how he did that. Um, and he had the ability to switch on and off. So, during the course of a day, you'd have several meetings, and some are not so pleasant,
Yeah.
in anyone's workday. So, there would be several of us that would have our time with Aubrey to present projects or what have you. And, the guy that would go ahead of me was maybe it didn't go so well. And I mean, it was not pleasant at all. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to be the next one. But the uncanny thing, the wonderful thing about him is that he was able to leave that topic and go to the next topic with a clean slate.
Wow.
So if it was, it was a difficult project or difficult topic that he was going over and he was angry,
Hmm.
he was not angry with the next person. So
Hmm.
he was able to switch it on and off that quickly. And where I really admired him, and I've told many people this, is that in his personal life, he was able to switch it off. So, you can imagine his workday was pretty intense
Yeah.
and stressful. Yet when he left, and he would leave the office and within, 3 minutes be at a restaurant with his wife, with Katie, and they would sit there and it was like they were on a first date. He was so into her, and I would look over and I think, wow, that's what a husband is supposed to be like.
Yeah.
And how could he do that? I just saw him in this meeting and he was very irate, not very happy, not very pleasant. But that's a remarkable trait when someone
Yeah.
can be present like that.
Hmm.
He is present in that moment, whatever that moment is.
Yeah.
And so, and the same thing with his kids. I would see him in the neighborhood riding bikes with them or at the supermarket and, playing, kind of horsing around in the aisles as they picked up groceries.
Yeah.
And just like a kid, just like one of his kids. And
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah, really, really neat,
Yeah.
that he was
Yeah.
able to do that. So, I try to emulate that. I try to be present. There's a great book by Daniel Siegel, I think it
Hmm.
is. I think it's called Awareness. And it really has some gems of wisdom in it where it tells you that, you have to be present. You have to be able to concentrate on the one thing, but you also have to be aware. So, for example, you go to the park with your kid. Do you have kids?
No, not yet,
Well,
sir.
you will someday.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
When you take your child to the park, you are very protective, right? Your eyes are on your child, and you're there just to be with them
Hmm.
and have fun and make some memories. but at the same time, you're aware of what's going on in the park. Is someone
Yeah.
entering the park from this direction? Is there a ball game going over here where a ball can maybe go awry? And you're aware of all these things. At the same time, you're intently focused on the one thing. And so it's like that in business. You have to be
Mm,
very present and intently accountable to what you're working on. But
yeah.
at the same time, be aware of what's going on around you. What is your competition doing?
Hmm.
What are all the projects your people are working on? And what's all your client temperatures like on a given day?
Yeah.
So you have to have both levels of awareness and acuity,
Yeah.
and you have to have intent, and you have to have regulation. So you have to be genuine in your intent. What is it you're going to accomplish? And do you have to regulate your behavior, change your behavior to achieve that goal or that intent?
Hmm.
So, I kind of like sweets too much. And
Yeah.
so I try to regulate my behavior. So instead of reaching for that muffin or whatever, I'll reach for an apple.
Yeah.
And I'm not always successful. So I have to then realize my intent maybe is not that genuine. I may
Mm.
talk the talk, but I'm not walking the walk. And
Hmm.
so it causes me to reevaluate.
Yeah.
So you can apply that to everything you do in life, your business, your family life.
Hmm.
What's your intent? Can you regulate your behavior and your acuity to what you're working on and awareness of everything around you?
Yeah.
And so Aubrey was good at that. Maybe he read the book. I don't know. But it's just good common sense too.
I agree. I think it is very good common sense. It's a book I'll probably need to pick up so I can learn some more too
Hmm.
about just life. I think you can apply it. A lot of it sounds like you apply it to whether it's being a CEO or just myself. How can I apply that to business and in life and
Hmm.
make myself better and everyone around me?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Land information services. What explain to our guests and our viewers about land information because it's
Yeah.
right down the street in Oklahoma City, in Nichols Hills
It is.
almost.
It's just a few minutes away. In a building I built, everyone loves it. Very open, contemporary environment uh, that really, uh, I guess, pushes openness, collaboration, very open area. So, you can't help but be in each other's face sometimes
Right.
and working out problems. But it started when I left Chesapeake. My goal was just to work part-time consulting with other companies, helping them realize the importance of data integrity and helping them build some tools that would um, leverage the data library, the data inventory they have, and streamline their organization. And so I did a lot of work for different companies, and that then formed Land Information Services. Um, these companies started outsourcing to me. So great, you found these holes in our data and issues with our processes, but you know, what do we do to fix it? Well,
Mm.
I have these analysts, and,
Yeah.
and so that's how I started acquiring people, and then I began to receive routine land administration work outsourced to me. So
Wow.
um, the name was pretty easy to come by because it's just exactly what we're all about: land information services.
Hmm.
And then that kind of went into more software. I needed a software product to conduct my business in. So I built my own using all the experience I had with various systems out there, putting into my system things I liked about those systems, programming out things I didn't like, any redundancy, etc. And so now we're a company that offers a software solution.
Yeah.
We don't really, create a custom software product according to what the client needs. We have one platform, and it pretty much addresses the need of many, many companies. So we focus our efforts on supporting that one platform, and we'll customize it here and there
Yeah.
for the client. But it's just more economical if I can find that greatest common denominator and use that to satisfy the ills of the processes that maybe are not working so well
Yeah.
at different companies. So we have 40 companies on our platform,
Wow.
about 1,500 users.
Oh man.
Yeah, and so that then creates a
Wow.
need for
Yeah.
more support personnel, and so we have a group that's just support. that's just data scientists helping companies do their data diagnostics. And it's a really fun, creative group. We have some really bright minds in there. Lease analysts, DO
Mm-hmm.
analysts, landmen, and we all work together.
Mm-hmm.
So, our lease and DO analysts know when they're working on a project that it maybe makes more sense to convert or upload data rather
Yeah.
than input it. So we get together and we get it done. And then they come along after the upload and refine it or what have you.
Yeah.
So that is how we got into that business. It's no longer part-time for me.
No.
It is definitely a full-time job,
Yeah.
but I really love it. I really enjoy going into the office, and I enjoy working with my clients. Some of my clients were interns when I was at
Wow.
Chesapeake, yes, and now they hold very important positions. They're CEOs and vice presidents and presidents of companies, and some of them remember me from those days,
Yeah.
and they came to me asking, help me out with this. I've made an acquisition. I've got 10,000 leases and 3,000 wells, and I don't have a system and I don't have any people. I got you covered.
Yeah.
So I can ramp them up and give them instant infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
not just the system, but the personnel. And then as they progress forward and grow, they acquire their own people. We'll train them, and they are self-sufficient.
Yeah.
But we're always there to back them up, and we're always there to give them advice, because we've encountered all kinds of transactions and strange negotiations. And how do you document that? How do you put that in the system? Well, we pretty much have a good idea. And I've amassed a leadership team that has a lot of experience. And so
Mm-hmm.
together we kind of make up this advisory board.
Yeah.
And that's one of the benefits all of our software customers have is whatever issue you encounter, we've got some free advice for you. And if you want a lot of advice, we'll work out an arrangement. But no, I just really like helping people to be successful.
Yeah.
I feel like I had my time where I was, buried in the trenches and working side by side with my people and working out problems one by one. Hazel
Mm-hmm.
was right there with me, and
Yeah.
we worked on some problems and came up with some great workflows. And so I find that exciting, but man, I don't want to do it all over again.
Right.
But I want to help someone else who's doing that. So
Yeah.
I like to be that voice in someone's ear, just giving them a little advice. Try
Mm-hmm.
this. Organize your staff this way.
Yeah.
So I really like providing solutions,
Yeah.
and that's kind of like the underlying theme of what we do. I mean, our tagline is solutions forward. Um, whether that solution is you just need more people for right now, or you don't need more people, you need a better system, or you
Mm-hmm.
need both.
Yeah.
You need data diagnostics. You need to refine your data, or do you need to find data and get data and put it in your system?
Right.
So so I have all kinds of advice for people. They don't
Yeah.
have to take
Yeah.
it, but it's always wonderful when they do, and
Yeah.
that's gratifying for me
That's
when I
awesome.
can help someone.
Yeah, because the advice is from when you started when you were younger. You did all the hard work, and now it's 2020. So you got this wealth of knowledge. So what you're doing is you're passing it on to help
Mhm.
make things run more efficiently, more accurately,
Right,
for sure,
right,
with land information.
right. And things are more complex in that there's more data available than
Mm-hmm.
ever before. The regulations are different, and I personally don't keep up with all that, and I don't try to advise people on that kind of strategy. But when it comes to just common sense and process efficiency and motivating people, um, I think my skill set is still very current, and
Mm-hmm.
I can offer a lot to a young leader
Yeah.
leading an organization and building an organization.
Right.
Yeah, so it's nice to be asked.
Oh yeah, 100%. How do you motivate your colleagues at work?
Mhm. So at work, I treat them with dignity.
Mm-hmm.
I give them some flexibility. I'm not a clock watcher, but I do tend to notice if someone's taking advantage of privileges.
For sure.
Um, but I like it to be their project.
Mm-hmm.
So I try and let them make a few mistakes, you know, and because you really learn that way.
Yeah.
But as long as they're not costly mistakes. Um, so I feel that's the best thing I can do is to allow them that forum to be a professional
Mm-hmm.
and to shine in front of the client. So, you know, when they finish a project, I don't represent that,
Mm-hmm.
look what I've done. You know,
Right.
I like to showcase my people,
That's
and
awesome.
that's rewarding for them. You know,
Yeah.
they want the recognition, they want to develop or build a reputation in the industry, and that's how you do it. You coach them along, and showcase them when they do something right.
Yeah.
Um, I guess other ways of motivating would be just to lead by example. You know, to try to be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and authenticity is kind of a strange word, but hard to define. But one important component of authenticity that I like to express to people is that if you're authentic, you know your weaknesses. You know,
Mm.
so if you don't own your weaknesses, they will own you.
Ooh.
So you know whether that's you know just tardiness or you know an addiction issue or you have rage, if you don't recognize that you have those shortcomings and regulate it,
Yeah.
then it can get the better of you.
Oh
So
man.
so I think you have to be able to recognize your own faults in order to be authentic.
Yeah.
You know, also another thing to do is that this is how you gain instant respect from employees and clients and everyone, is to say you're wrong, admit you're wrong, you
Mm.
know, and not try and cover something up. Nothing wins people over more than someone being humble.
Right.
And sometimes it takes the wind out of their sails too if they, you
Mm-hmm.
know, have a real beef with you. Like, well, how can I be mad at him? You know,
Yeah.
he owned up
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
it.
He admitted he was wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So that can be very powerful to show people that you're human.
Yeah.
You know, and that, hey, you make mistakes, own up to it,
Right.
and you know, I'll learn from it, and hopefully you'll learn from it too,
Yeah.
since I was honest and shared it with you. You
I
know,
agree. I
yeah.
agree. What do you think is a misconception in the oil and gas industry?
Well, there's a misconception about the oil and gas industry. People who are not in the industry and are not fans of the industry, you know, give us grief, and you know, they don't see us as conservationists, whereas I see the oil and gas industry, you know, engineers and geologists being some of our biggest, greatest conservationists.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be. We're working in the environment. We have to protect it. So that's the biggest misconception, is that we're, you know, spoiling from people outside the industry, is that
Right.
people inside the industry
Mm-hmm.
are spoiling our resources, and that is absolutely the opposite of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Um, Within the industry, that's tough to say. I think, you know, it's a tough time in our industry right now. The economics are really bad, but somehow people are making money,
Yeah.
and so you know you have to recognize that change and ride with it. You know, I can remember a time when oil was $8 a barrel. It was that way
Wow.
for a few hours one day back in the 80s. Uh, Really rough.
Wow.
And you know, the phone didn't ring. There was no work, and you know, I was just, what am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, well, there are oil and gas properties still out there. Someone has to manage them.
Yeah.
You know, and I just had to tell my story to a different group of people. It's a different group that owns the properties. So there were people with financial backing that were very interested in what I had to offer. There were banks that suddenly had to seize assets that were very interested in what I had to offer because they didn't know what they had in their hands.
Right.
And so the important thing is that you recognize that change is constant, and you got to latch onto it or
Mm.
be crushed by it. And I
Okay.
would rather, you know, ride the wave than be crushed by the wave. And so that's what's helped me in my career, is not trying to do the same thing and stick to the same kind of work, um, you know, as the industry changed. but to allow myself to accommodate whatever was needed at the time.
Right.
You
Right.
that's kind of been what I've always been about is, I want to be liked.
Yeah.
I want to do something that helps people, that something that's needed.
Yeah.
And so, when I realized how things had changed and I learned to adapt, and that's what helped me.
Yeah. When you talk about how things have changed and how you had to adapt, what are some of those moments in your life that's changed, maybe shaped you, some defining moments?
hmm Um, well, the one I just mentioned, the 80s was a very defining moment because I can remember just doubling over with stomach cramps because
Mm.
at the time I was young and naive and thought, the world is coming to an end. My life as I know it, there's nothing else I can do.
Yeah.
But with prayer and just observing, I realized there is something I can do. And I remember uh, getting dressed up in a suit, even though I had no place to go,
Hmm.
and going downtown and just walking around and seeing people and letting them know that I was around. Uh, it
Oh,
and opportunities came my way. It's like, oh, I'm glad I ran into you.
wow.
So that's always my best advice to people is if you feel like things are really bad for you, just you need to get out of the house. Go work out, go to association meetings, whether they're landman or engineering professional associations, whatever. Be out there,
Yeah.
be present, and talk to people
Mm.
because you never know. You talk to this one person, they may not have an opportunity for you, but they know someone and they refer you to someone who does.
Yeah.
And it's happened for me like that so many times
Wow.
that there's something to it, right? So,
Yeah.
so I always offer that just talk. Whatever you need, whatever is going wrong in your life, talk to people.
Hmm.
They'll either be bored by you and leave, or they'll offer some good advice, or they will
Yeah.
introduce you to someone who can help you. And that's worked for me several times. And I guess the other defining moment was leaving Chesapeake. That was
Mm.
tough because that was fun. I mean, Aubrey
Yeah.
was very generous in allowing me the flexibility to create some of the workflows I built,
Hmm.
and so leaving there was uncomfortable to go to something completely new, but it was really kind of necessary too.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I built these workflows and got to the point where the only thing that could happen next is I would have to tear it down and rebuild each of these workflows
Yeah.
again. And then the whole time, new people come into the organization, nipping at your heels and trying to make a name for themselves. And it was exhausting trying to protect the company
Yeah.
from people who just were motivated by sheer ego to create
Mm.
new products or purchase new software that really wasn't necessary. And I got so exhausted with that. And at the same time, I didn't want to be a curmudgeon to where, I was the bottleneck that was hindering any kind of progress.
Hmm.
So I knew at some point I would need to leave to allow more creativity, more, some fresh blood in. So it just happened that was the time. That was a good time with everything going on. And it was tough to realize that not everyone liked me. There
Yeah.
were some people who didn't because maybe they thought I had too much influence. That maybe they thought that Aubrey was too generous with me, and that maybe
Ah.
he trusted me too much. I don't know, but there was a lot of friction. So
Yeah.
so it was time to leave. And the nice thing, the beautiful thing that happened is when I left, then opportunities opened up for people who work for me. So they were able to step up and
Ooh.
and assume more important roles.
Yeah.
And so, and I was able to kind of like observe this and go, wow, this is really beautiful that this happened.
Yeah.
And people I had earmarked for future success, for leadership, were actually falling into those roles and becoming the leaders I knew they would be. Some of them work for me now,
Yeah. That's right.
but
That's right.
a couple of them are clients,
Yeah.
and some are just out there, and we stay in touch. So there's a strong mutual respect there.
Yeah.
So that was tough, to leave this beautiful campus. I mean, I have nothing but good things to say about Chesapeake.
Hmm.
It was a wonderful experience, a beautiful campus. They're great to their employees, And but I went from going to their company, coffee shop with the Element or Wildcat, whatever they were called, and I would get my morning coffee at the commissary truck at the bus station. My my office was next to the bus depot, and I would stand in line with homeless people and get my coffee and breakfast. And I loved it because I realized outside the bubble there are all kinds of people. There are old people as well as young people, and there are fat people as well as people that are in great shape, and
Yeah.
ugly people, and it was just nice to be part of the community where this is really life.
Hmm.
This is really what life's all about, all kinds of people and all kinds of situations and needs.
Yeah. Wow. That's so true because we really do, to a certain extent, I think we all live in a certain bubble that we have,
Hmm.
whether it's at Chesapeake or whether it's your gym rat, that's all you know.
Yeah.
And so when you leave the gym, you're like, dude, you look like you're out of shape, man. What are you doing? And so it's so true. And then when you go out of the country, and I've been out of the country a few times, and you're like, man, we do really have it great here in the United States. And
Hmm.
sometimes maybe to a certain extent we all take it for granted, maybe a little bit. But I think you learn when you go into a different neighborhood actually
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. You don't have to go overseas. You could just leave your
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah, and then you see a different culture,
Hmm.
how they live in their neighborhood versus how you live in your neighborhood, and
Hmm.
you become more thankful to a certain extent as well.
Right.
I would think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I am very thankful for my days at Chesapeake and for the opportunity to leave Chesapeake and
Hmm.
to build what I've built and to work with talented people and so I feel very lucky,
Yeah,
very lucky.
for sure. Well, you do have talent at your company, the company you have built so far, and I feel like you'll probably continue to build and make it even bigger. It's amazing. It's a small campus. Beautiful. When you walk through the door, I look to my left, I believe, and there's a staircase.
Hmm.
And each step has words.
Hmm.
Explain to us about those words and the meaning of why.
What? Um, well, they're words of inspiration. So, and I actually saw something like it in a magazine. So it's
Hmm.
not that original. I have to give credit to Architectural Digest, but but I thought, what a great idea.
Hmm.
I want to come up with as many words as I can think of, and I gathered ideas from my employees as well. Let's create a long list of words that are meaningful, that
Yeah.
that have inspiration. So we had a long list, and only so many stairs. So so as a company, as a group, we voted on what are I think there were 23 risers.
Yeah.
What are the 23 words out of all this entire roster that mean the most to us, and why?
Mm.
And we talked about it, and so we agreed on those words as a group, and then we even agreed on the order in which they were placed on the stairs. So things like inspire and creativity and celebrate.
Hmm.
Celebrate is the last word on the stairs as you get to the top, because
Yeah.
that's important. We work hard, and it's important that you acknowledge your success and your coworker's success, and
Mm.
you celebrate a little bit.
I love
And
it.
so that's really more of a reminder for me, because by the time I get to that point where the project's done, I'm successful. I'm thinking I'm probably going to celebrate, but man, I've got so much else to do, and I don't. But it's important to a lot of people, and
Hmm.
it makes that success, I think, more memorable
Yeah.
if you mark it with some kind of celebration. I mean,
Right.
pizza for lunch or something. It does not have to be a big party.
Yeah. That's
So,
true.
so we do that. We have little gatherings. We'll have everyone's going to learn to clog dance on
What?
yes, on St. Patrick's Day. So you know what that is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
the big clunky
It's
shoes and
awesome.
yeah, on those concrete floors. It's going
Yeah.
to be loud in there. So we'll have different kinds of Irish beer, and we'll have some performers come in and show us, really how dancing is
What?
done.
You're going to have performers come in?
Yes, and then
Unbelievable.
and then they're going to teach us, and everyone
What?
has got to participate. So So that's the kind of celebration we like to do. And when we had our open house, we had Kyle Dillingham, who's a really talented fiddler.
Yes.
Yeah, and he plays around the world. He's kind of famous.
Yeah.
And so he played for us, and he had a skateboard, and he was like
Yeah.
skateboarding through the office playing his fiddle. So we like to make things fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And so to celebrate is an important. That's one of the important words there.
Yeah. Did Kyle play a Devil Went Down to Georgia?
Yes.
Yeah, on a skateboard.
Mhm. So another phrase is "own it." That's on there as well.
Yeah.
So and we have started taking a word a week. We have a stand-up meeting every week. We just have a very quick meeting with maybe just a recap on what's going on in the company, or it could be an inspirational message by me or from someone in the company. Could be a video. Sometimes we'll see something on a TED Talk or a YouTube video that we
Yeah.
want to share, and we share that with everyone. And it's maybe just an excuse to have donuts. I don't know, but people kind of look forward to it, and it brings
Yeah.
everyone together. And so we sometimes take a word from the stairs, and we'll find something on the internet, a video or something
Yeah.
that speaks to that word.
Right.
Trust or integrity.
Yeah.
And so we haven't made it all the way up the stairs yet because we have a lot of topics we want to go over, but
Right.
we'll make it to the top of the stairs.
I like it. I like
Mhm.
it. What's the culture like at Liss?
I think it is creative, innovative, happy. It's inspiring. It's creative. And that's not just what I want it to be. I think it truly is that way. It's probably a better question to ask one of the employees,
Yeah.
and I think they might say the same thing, give you the same answer.
I'm going to take that from a non-employee because I don't work there. And when I walked in, it was welcoming.
Mhm.
It was open. The
Mhm.
floor plan was open. The colleagues, everyone was smiling.
Mhm.
And I mean, literally everyone was smiling. They were happy. And from just the openness, I felt like the creativity is
Mhm.
definitely there. And I
Yeah.
felt good energy, good vibe.
Yeah. Well, when you walk in, it's not like your standard office building where there's a
No.
reception area and a receptionist and you kind of know the drill. When you walk in, you are like in the
Oh,
building
yeah.
and you're looking around going, whoa, what is this?
Yeah.
And about the time you make that realization, someone has walked up to you and greeted you and
100%.
wished you a good day and how can I help you? So that was on purpose.
Yeah.
So there are no chairs, there's no waiting room. There's just that entryway with the kitchen right there for a cup of coffee, and then
Yeah.
off to the left, the fireplace and a sitting area over there.
Right.
But you don't instantly go there until someone actually invites you. Like, okay, you're not just some wanderer off the street.
Yeah.
Please come in, have
Yeah.
a seat,
Yeah.
and I will tell so-and-so you're here.
Yep. That's how I saw it too. So the words that you used to describe your culture is exactly how I felt
Oh,
when I
good.
walked in. I'm not even an employee, which is awesome. So good job to you and your colleagues and just the company.
Oh, thanks.
It's
Thanks.
awesome.
Yeah.
And you allow dogs there too.
We do. We
Yeah.
do. Yes. Not just any dogs. They have to be well-behaved dogs.
That makes sense.
But no, it's nice to have them around there.
Yeah.
And we enjoy that. But we do have to make sure there's usually not more than one dog there at a time.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
Getting fights or liability issues probably, potentially.
Yeah.
So
So-
you've been around the energy sector. You're a very popular face around the sector, around the city. What are a couple questions that no one ever asked Wade, but you wish someone would ask you?
Wow. Well, not many people ask me about, what do I do in my spare time? And I love to play tennis. I play 3-4 times a week, and I enjoy that. I enjoy creating things of beauty, whether that's doing a flip on a house, remodeling a room or an entire house, or a landscaping project. I've got a lot of work to do here.
Yeah.
But I really like that. I really like creating something peaceful and serene and beautiful. That's why I loved designing the office building.
Yeah.
And I did that with other people helping me. They're, part of my leadership team. I welcomed their advice, and they had a lot of input in
Hmm.
the furnishings and layout and what have you. We're building a second building soon, and again, I'm seeking their advice and their input. That way, they take ownership,
Yeah.
and it's a fun thing for them as well.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be just my project.
Right.
Um, I like charities that help other people,
Mm.
not just give a handout, but really teach them how to fish. So a couple of favorite charities, like Upward Transitions, which used to be Travelers Aid, and I really like, and I'm on the advisory board now. I used to be an active board member, but I really like them because they have qualifications. They realize they can't help everyone. There
Yeah.
are a lot of people in need, and a lot of people homeless. But they focused on any family, whether that's a single parent family or a double parent family. But as long as there's a kid
Ah.
involved, then you qualify for their assistance. And that
Wow.
assistance might be they pay your utility bill, they give you a place to live for a couple of months, they pay your tuition to get some training at Metrotech or wherever,
Yeah.
and just a lot of different ways to help. And they get a lot of donations, so they have clothing and food that they can donate. So I really like that. That charity, for every dollar that's donated, like I'd say 85% goes to the client.
Wow.
Unlike, there's a lot of overhead in some larger charities.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorites. I really like the city rescue mission
Mm-hmm.
downtown.
Yeah.
They are so organized. And for me, I'm kind of an organization freak. So I just kind of marveled at their volunteering or volunteer workstation, how you had to enroll and, register. And this is so efficient.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really a very nice facility downtown, like off of 6th or 5th Street in Classen.
Yeah.
And it has a spiritual concept to it. There's prayer, there's meditation, but they're not real pushy with it. And
Yeah.
you have people there that are it's like a halfway house for some people. They're right out of prison or they're in rehab.
Yeah.
So a lot of different mixes of people there. And so I'll go there and I'll serve lunch. And I find these people are just so polite and so appreciative. When I hand them the plate, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And I find that really gratifying. So I really like to push them a lot. Kudos to them for how they've organized, and the facility is really nice and clean,
Mm-hmm.
and they help a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I started a mentoring program for troubled kids when I was your age, younger,
Wow.
and that took a lot of work. I focused on the at-risk middle school and alternative middle school, and it was all at-risk youths. And I teamed up kids with an area executive man or woman who would take them on as their mentee. They would be their mentor, and really all they had to do is just invite them to their office, show them what they do day to day, let
Man,
these kids observe you.
that's great.
So it started out just bringing people into the school to let them see, this is what school is really like for most kids.
Yeah.
This isn't what you're going to see at some of the private schools.
Yeah.
And it was really eye-opening for a lot of people and for
Mm-hmm.
me. And I just did a lot of research and borrowed a lot from Minnesota, had a lot of interesting research on mentorships and
Wow.
at-risk kids. And so I created this program that, it really grew. I found out how gratifying. So many people want to help. So many people want to get involved. Like Burns Hargis,
Mm-hmm.
was a
Yeah.
volunteer
Yeah.
and did great things with his kid. And Steve Slauson, who was a mentor, and he continues
Wow.
to do that kind of work on his own with other charities. So I really admire the work he does.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So we had some really high profile people involved, and so that was neat that I was able to introduce them to that,
Yeah.
that they were able to offer their resources and help.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a really cool thing.
That's awesome. When I hear you speak, you sound so mellow, laid back, and I feel like there's some drive, a lot of drive to your voice. My question is though, is there anything that ticks you off?
If I sound mellow, it's because I'm old.
No, you're not
Old and
old.
tired. No, loud, boisterous people, I guess that's what ticks me off. And it might be that I'm jealous that I'm not more like them, or that I'm not the alpha male that I would like to be. But I'll be in situations where these guys are just trying to one up each other, and I just,
Oh.
when I was younger, I guess I felt I had to participate and I
Uh,
had to try and fit in. And the older I get, the more I realize I don't need that.
yeah.
I don't need to be part of this. And I'm so glad to be at an age where I can understand that I don't have to be
Mm-hmm.
part of that. I don't have to play that game.
Yeah.
So just I guess that would be the only thing that really ticks me off are people who are loud and boisterous, and they're also sometimes the same people who skate by, that
Mm.
like to stay under the radar and not do too much and get away with as much as they can. And we don't have that much going. We don't have many or any like that in our company. We've had a few people before who've come over and they thought, well, this would be kind of fun. It looks like a neat environment, but they're used to working in a large company where they're able to fly under the radar,
Mm.
and it doesn't work in our environment,
Right.
and they get discouraged and they leave.
Yeah. No, that's true. What does a Wade Brawley do for fun?
Well, like I said, tennis, I love that, and then the landscaping, gardening projects. I like to travel. I don't travel extensively because I'm working quite a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and I take my work with me. But we just got back from Tucson. There's a dude ranch we go to, and
Ooh.
and mostly we go there just to enjoy the high desert. It's the rocky. It's not the desert like Las Vegas or Phoenix. It's rocky hills,
Yeah.
a lot of vegetation, beautiful. It smells wonderful. And so we'll go there and I'll play tennis. We go on horseback rides, trail rides, and have breakfast outside, and it's just a beautiful setting. So I enjoy the ability to travel a little bit. My daughter lives in Minneapolis, so we like to take advantage of that beautiful city and
Yeah.
go up there and visit her. And we visit her often in New York City. We're going there next month, and
Nice.
go see some shows. So
Yeah.
it's nice to be able to take these small trips. So we travel. We go somewhere about every month, but it's not a big trip.
Yeah.
My last big trip was probably Eastern Europe, where the whole family went, and that was
Nice.
last year.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Loved Eastern Europe. Yeah.
Man, good memories.
Prague, yeah. Well, mostly because the whole family was there. We could have
Yeah.
as easily just gone to Disneyland or somewhere, but
I agree.
but as long as we're together, we have fun together and we
Yeah.
laugh a lot.
Yeah.
So that's what I do for fun. I like to spend time with my family, and I have a few close friends that I've known for years
Mm-hmm.
who, if I pick up the phone and say, "Hey, we're going to head to New York or Montana or wherever we want to
Yeah.
go. Do you want to meet us there?" Yeah, why not?
Let's do it.
Yeah. So we're kind of at that age where we have the ability to,
Yeah.
to do that, to travel
Oh,
at a
yeah.
whim.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
You talked about you're building a second building,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna have to call myself genius because I knew that you guys were gonna grow, and you mentioned that.
You
So-
called it. You nailed it.
Well, just by the enthusiasm, I felt like you're probably going to keep growing. That's
Mhm.
not going to be the only building. When's the last time you challenged yourself with doing something you've never done, and what was the outcome of that?
Oh gosh. Building that building, I had never built a building before, and that was kind of nerve-wracking, but like many projects that I undertake, I just really dove in and focused on that, and to ad nauseum, I probably uh, made, I won't say made some enemies, but caused people concern that I was just too into this.
Mm-hmm.
I might have made an enemy of the architect or the builder with changes I made, but no, actually they enjoyed that whole process too. They
Yeah.
they thought, oh, this is great. I'm being challenged, and we're working together, and we're building something beautiful. So the result was we created something beautiful. Um, I gosh, I wish I had a better answer for
Oh, that's
other
good.
examples
That's
as far as
good.
really challenging myself. I'm not going to run a marathon.
Yeah.
So that would
Fair.
be a good classic answer.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't challenge myself to work up to 10K and actually run the Boston Marathon. Did not do it.
Me neither. And I'm not going to, so it's okay. We're good. We're good. When you mentioned that book Awareness,
Hmm.
so you obviously you read books. You like movies too.
Oh, yes.
What's some of your favorite movies?
Well, my wife's the movie buff, so I have to rely on her to remember the names, the
Okay.
titles. and to find stuff for us to watch. But of course, everyone loves It's a Wonderful Life. It has such a great
Mm,
story, and you can't help but get teary-eyed as many times as we've all
yeah.
seen that movie. It has such a strong message, and the portrayal is so good by the actors. Um, it's going to sound corny, but Independence Day. I love that movie. And then there are other movies like that where the message really is that in adversity people get together and from all walks of life. And if you remember, there were people from all walks of life, black and white and poor and rich,
Yeah.
the president and this
Yeah.
stripper, you
Yeah.
know, and they all have this common goal of survival and doing away with evil. And I love that, how everyone
Yeah.
comes together and they put all their differences aside and they focus on this one goal.
Yeah.
And so hugely important message.
Yeah.
And there are other movies like that out there, but that one always just is a feel-good movie for
Hmm.
me.
So you think about movies and books, and then you look at your life right now. What chapter from a book or what movie best represents your chapter of life?
Oh gosh. I don't know how to answer that. I
Yeah.
I don't know. I watch a lot of different movies that are not at all like my experience, my life, or or like me at all. That's part of the beauty of movies is to
Mm.
take you into a world that you're not part of and help you understand.
Ooh.
Oh, I understand their perspective now. You know,
Wow.
so well, I don't think that's profound, but
It's
it's
profound to me. I never heard an answer like that.
that's what movies are for me. It's not just an escape,
Yeah.
but it's a lesson in um, experiencing what others experience that I would have no way
Oh.
of experiencing that on my own.
Yeah.
So when a movie is well done, um, what was the movie I saw? Parasite recently. It won Best Movie, which I couldn't understand that. It was a great movie though, and it really did take me out of my comfort zone,
Yeah.
and it showed the diversity, the polarization of the haves and the have-nots,
Mm.
and really made you not like the haves because of how petty they were and
Hmm.
how they treasured these material things.
Yeah.
Um, but that took me out of my comfort zone. I mean, I saw South Korea, which we think of as just being so beautiful and just a perfect world. And it is for the most part,
Yeah.
but it has its poor side too. It
For
has
sure.
its impoverished,
Yeah.
and to see that and realize, oh, I had no idea. You don't see that in the
Hmm.
movies or in commercials.
Nope.
That part of Seoul.
Right.
So that was an eye opener, and to see
Yeah.
that they have the same issues that we have in America,
Yeah.
very similar.
Yeah.
And so that was a lesson learned that,
Yeah.
okay, it's like that everywhere.
That's true. What lessons have you learned from starting up lists?
um, to do things gradually, not be too eager, greedy, too hasty.
Hmm.
Just we're completely self-funded. Never borrowed money to run the company,
Wow.
other than borrowing from myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
There have been times when I thought, if I'm going to make payroll, I'm going to have to move some money around.
Hmm.
Um, and so that was a good thing to endure,
Yeah.
and it helped me to be more frugal, and helped me to plan.
Yeah.
And so we have no trouble making payroll anymore, but um, we have not borrowed any money. We don't look for that, and it's because we've grown one building block at a time
Yeah.
and not try to grow too fast.
Yeah.
And I see some companies that do that, and
Hmm.
they pay for it later.
Yeah.
They lose control of their company, um, or they lose some of the leadership of
Hmm.
the company because they brought in outside investors.
Yeah.
So
Wow. As a CEO, have you ever sought out leadership coaching? Like a team comes in and helps your leadership and yourself
I
through.
read about that, and
Uh
I
huh.
and I see these people who do that, and I would like to, but
Hmm.
I haven't yet.
Yeah.
I see a need for it. And it might happen if I just happen to meet someone that I really think, wow, I would just like to buy your time to shadow me and help me to regulate my behavior
Yeah.
and to, operate with more intent.
Yeah.
Um, so I see a need for that, but I have not done that yet.
Mm.
I've been approached by organizations of CEOs that have these meetings and retreats,
Okay.
and I'd like to do that, but every time it lands on a week that I just can't make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I fully intend to investigate that because I think that'd be great to go into a retreat with other CEOs and hear about their problems
Yeah.
and just we talk about issues um, without, I guess, without your competition
Yeah. No, that's
hearing
true.
you or your employees.
Yeah.
So I will definitely do that. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah. It'd be cool just because I feel like you're a wealth of knowledge too, so you could give other CEOs pointers, and not necessarily about land information services, but just about life and
Mhm.
how do you balance work, life, marriage, tennis
Mhm.
with 50 colleagues. You're building another building for your second building. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's
But-
phenomenal to me. I'm like, it's overwhelming thinking about it, but that's awesome.
But yeah, it just, if it were me, 20 years ago looking at it, I would think, oh gosh, there's no way. How does that happen? But again, you just have to remember that it just takes one building block at a time, 1 month at a time, 1 year at a time, and it will happen for you.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I can remember when I was really young and I just was struggling thinking, how am I going to send my kids to college? How do people do this? And then my dad, who's always been very frugal, and I thought he'd have some really stern advice. Well, you have to put this much away and put it
Yeah.
in this. He said, when the time comes, it will be there. I thought,
Ooh.
what? That's all you have to say?
That's it.
But it was really wise because, and he was right. It was
Mm-hmm.
there, and it happens because you're building one block at a time, gradually. If you
Mm.
think about something far off in the future, I mean, it is intimidating, and it's scary. But then, if I just focused on one day at a time, I was able to build those resources, and so the money was there when it
Yeah.
was time for them to go to college, and I realized, dang, he was right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great life advice.
It is.
Actually, thinking about it, it's like, man, because in 2020, we're thinking about this. When we invest $1, we want it to be $100 the next day. We want quick turnaround and everything.
Yeah,
We
we're
want to
into
win
instant
everything.
gratification.
That's it.
Hmm.
That's it. But one month, one building, one block at a time.
3% a year, or
Ooh.
7%.
Mm-hmm.
That can be a good return, and you just take a little at a time.
Yeah.
So, and my dad was a man of faith, and so part of that was spiritual too. That
Yeah.
you pray and you do the right thing, you live life well, and you're rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
And dang it, if he wasn't right again,
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. If you were to look back at your life, let's go back 10 years ago, and you had a belief in something, and you fast forward back to present day, is the belief in that certain something stronger, just as strong, or not as strong? Whatever that was, do you have something back 10 years ago that you believed in strongly?
Well, I think just the rule of living life well. I mean, living life right,
Mm-hmm.
day to day, and you know, having a spiritual side of yourself is really important. And I think when we're younger, we think, well, yeah, we're supposed to do that, so that's what I'll say. But then as you get older, you realize that was sound advice. What
Mm.
Dad said and what others say.
Yeah.
Um, it's really important that you believe that higher being, and
Right.
and it doesn't matter if you're Muslim or Christian or Jewish
Yeah.
or whatever faith. All of these faiths believe in a higher power,
Yeah.
and that's, I think, the unifier. That's what we
Mm.
all have in common. And I think if we have that in common, shouldn't that be enough? If we
Yeah.
all believe that it's a loving God, and whatever else we believe in or worship
Yeah.
becomes less important, as long as we realize there is a higher being out there that we should be seeking advice from for living well, for doing the right thing.
Yeah.
for guidance.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I ask every day. That's part of my routine when I get up in the morning. Before I get up, I just kind of, you know, focus on, you know, what am I thankful for, and I thank God for that, and you know, what's my scorecard like? Am I doing okay? What do I need to work more at? What can I do better? Um, but you know, mostly I'm asking for guidance, I'm asking for direction and protection
I like it.
every morning, and you know, and I think that's important,
Yeah.
to believe in something that will help you achieve your goals if your
Right.
goals are authentic.
Yeah. I didn't even have to ask that question of what are your habits because you just said your morning habits.
Well,
Like, man, it's
it's
awesome.
it's like a conversation.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's how. That's why I am so excited to be here because, to me, this is just a conversation, and except I get to sit in front of the CEO and have a conversation with the CEO and the human way Brawley. So this is awesome to me.
We can do this every Friday.
Yeah, I get off at 12, so
Uh,
we go have coffee and just hang out and just
yeah,
chat about things.
I would love that.
That'd be so
Invite
awesome.
more. Well,
Oh yeah,
mhm.
that would be great. What's your goal? What do you see maybe yourself and Liz in the next, let's say, 5 years?
Mhm. Well, I have a plan to um, turn the organization over to my leadership team, and so I will be involved for the next 5 to 10 years.
Uh-huh.
Um, but slowly, they'll gain more ownership, and I will be here for the next 5 to 10 years to guide and lead them.
Wow.
And so, one, you know, I want to be able to reach to that point that when my kids have children, that I can spend more time with them. You know,
Yeah.
I was very fortunate that my parents were very involved, and my wife's mother was very involved with our kids when they were
Yeah.
young. And so we rarely had a babysitter because we had family to
Wow.
take care of our kids.
Yeah.
And so that was wonderful for us. And I'm glad my kids had that relationship with their grandparents, and great for my grandparents. It was
Yeah.
very rewarding for them. So I want to, when that time comes, and I'm not rushing them,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I want to be prepared that when that time does come, I can take some time off and spend more time with grandchildren. Um, Maybe I'll invest in, you know, find some entrepreneurial spirits and
Mm-hmm.
invest in their dreams. You know, and do more house flips. I mean, there's
That's
lots I
awesome.
could be doing,
Yeah.
but what I'm doing at LIS right now is important. So I like the coaching aspect of it. I am very involved day to day, and it's really important for my customers to know that I have a continuity plan, a
Mm-hmm.
succession plan. So, because their fear is, what if you decide to monetize this whole thing and just sell out?
Mm.
Well, I don't want to do that because I'm more interested in the company continuing, and I'm more interested in my leadership team assuming control.
That's so awesome.
That's worth more to me than a few $1,000,000.
Yeah.
So that's my plan, and I made that announcement just a few weeks ago. So yeah,
Wow.
so I named my right hand man as the president, and
Wow.
I'm the CEO, and things are still going as they planned. But the most important thing is we've sent a message to the community, to the industry, that we're not for sale,
Mm-hmm.
and we are here for as long as you can see into the future.
That's legendary. That's really cool. Man, that's exciting news.
Uh-huh.
I'm excited. I'm not even an employee.
Yeah.
It's just really neat to hear about the CEO because sometimes you do hear about, well, we're gonna try to do this and flip it and make this money and we exit out.
Yeah.
But you want this to be a growing thing and
Mm-hmm.
continue on, and it keeps families intact as
Mm-hmm.
far as employments and people
Right.
happy.
Right.
The economy's booming because
Mm-hmm.
of that too.
Mm-hmm.
The net effect of that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. How's Wade want to be remembered?
As someone who liked to help people, as someone who listens. You know, I remind my team this all the time, that, you know, you go into a prospective customer's office and you don't want to talk. You want to listen. I said, if you sit there long enough, they will tell you what's wrong with their organization. They will reach out to you. And so that has worked for us. And
Yeah.
so I'd rather be the quiet person that people feel comfortable talking to.
Love it.
And,
You're already there, I think. I feel like you're already there.
Yeah.
So last question for you, if you don't mind looking the camera. Wade Brawley, do you approve this podcast?
I approve this podcast. I'm Wade Brawley, and I approve this podcast. I am not running for office. I will not run for office. I'm smarter than that.
My name is Wong Lam, and I definitely approve this podcast. Actually, I do have one more question. How do people get in touch with you without your cell number, like an email?
Go to our website,
Okay.
and my personal email address may not be there, but the information email address is there, and I actually receive those. So,
Okay.
it's info@lislv.com.
Very good. Very
You
good.
can find me that way.
And then you can find him on LinkedIn under Wade Brawley, WadeBrawley. Correct?
That is correct.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your
All
time,
right.
sir. I appreciate you.
I really enjoyed it. Thank
That
you
was
for coming
fun.
over.
Yeah.